Hey there, welcome to another episode of the RocketMSP Podcast. I'm your host, Steve Taylor, and today I'm joined by Tim Dodd. Tim, welcome. Thanks for coming, man.
Thanks for having me. Super excited.
Absolutely. All right, so let's just kind of dive in. You run a company called JTD Group. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right, so that's a very mysterious, weird kind of name. So what on earth does that company do?
So the reason the name is my initials, so John Timothy Dodd, so JTD.
Okay.
And I brought on some additional partners recently, so we ended up changing that to group. And what we do is we do outsourced sales and marketing primarily for tech companies, and as it relates to this call, MSPs, and helping them get more leads that turn into revenue.
Okay. So how long have you guys been doing this?
So my career started out as a programmer, so I've been selling for about 15 years. My first sales job was with an MSP, and I've had this company for about 5 years.
Okay. All right. So let's see. 5 years you've been doing this. You do a lot with LinkedIn, I suspect, since this is called LinkedIn prospecting tips and tricks.
Correct.
All right. So are you doing LinkedIn for your clients?
For both. So about a third of our business comes from LinkedIn.
Okay.
And that's how you and I connected, was me reaching out to you on LinkedIn.
That's
And then
true.
we use that also for our clients. So if you think about an MSP, you're probably a founder, you might have a small team, you just need leads. And we use LinkedIn to give them about 5 to 15 leads across all of our clients, but our MSPs are getting about 15 sales qualified leads every month.
All right. So let's talk about that for a second, because you said that that's how we met. That's true. I didn't even think of that. You used your own voodoo magic on me. So are you doing the same thing for yourself, for like how you reached out to me, as you are for your customers?
Correct. That's exactly what we're doing.
Okay. So I don't even remember what you said. Do you remember what you said? Should I pull it up real quick?
If you want to, from our previous conversation before today.
Yeah, when you initially messaged me, that's what I wanna look that up real quick.
Yeah, feel free to. We basically, the summary, we paraphrase and say that we've had a lot of success with, tech and tech companies, and we'd love to work with you. So it's not any rocket science. So when you think about LinkedIn is just really for a job seeker, it's their professional resume to get a job. For us as business owners, it's our way that we're going to advertise to people that are prospective customers. So what you don't want to do is you don't want to get the generic message in your inbox that says, "Hey, I do mobile app development," or "I do outsourced IT," or "I save your cost." So what I do
Or
is I
even
go,
worse, Steve Taylor would like to connect.
right. Well, yeah, that's even. So what they'd like to do is Steve Taylor to reach out to, say, a Tim Dodd and say, "Hey, I've had really good success managing IT to help sales companies drive revenue." So now when I read your message, I know at least you have a reasonable shot of being successful with me because you've worked with another sales company before. So when I reach out to MSPs, my technical background looks like I'm in that space, but it also resonates in the messages specific to MSPs. I'm not talking about other tech companies that we're working with.
Sure. Okay.
And good.
So I have your message up now. I'm not going to share my screen because there's a lot of other things I don't want people to see. That sounds awkward. You know what I mean? I just have my LinkedIn up. I don't want everyone reading my messages. I found significant value in meeting like-minded sales and marketing leaders in the managed IT and cybersecurity space in order to source new ideas, find inspiration, and be a strong connector. Now, you did say space twice. Have you found this to be true also? If so, let's set up a time to chat. What works for your schedule, Tim? And I didn't reply. Because
Most people don't.
yeah. So 3 days later, you sent me another message. The first one was at like 9:01 a.m. The next one's at 9:53 a.m. Three days later. Hey, following up on the above request to connect, would you be open to a quick 15-minute intro? My calendar is fairly flexible. What dates, times work best next week? Tim. I still didn't reply. So 3 days later again, now at 10:06 in the morning. Hi, I wanted to try you once more on LinkedIn. I always miss messages here. Would you prefer I send an email? Excited to connect. Thank you, Tim. And I did finally reply to that one. So I think that goes to show that, if all you send is one message to somebody, they may read it, they may not, and then they just may sweep it under the rug, because I honestly don't know what kind of like tools are out there. So I don't know, like, are people able to automate sending these messages? Am I just getting some kind of robot message from maybe a person that doesn't even exist? So I just ignore them. And then you sent me a second, and I was like, okay, maybe. And then you sent me a third, and I was like, all right, I guess I'll lie and tell them I'm swamped. So, yeah, so what? I feel like there's a secret here other than be persistent and continue to reach out, because it takes multiple touches to reach somebody. I think, we've all heard that, right? So what else is going on here with you messaging me on LinkedIn that I don't see, the background?
So there's some mental stuff with it, right? So you might, like you said, you're busy. So by spreading that out, did I lose you? Okay.
No, I'm here.
Okay. By spreading it out, I'm able to reach you when you're available. So if I didn't say connect with you that time, maybe a month or 3 months from now is a better time for us to talk. The problem is we as human beings, we get busy, we get distracted. So the advantage of the automation is that you're consistently following up and prospecting. And that works with people. The other thing is the authenticity of it, right? So even though the message is automated, I'm trying to be genuine. Sometimes I use humor in my text, those types of things. So I don't look like a bot, even though all of that was automated messaging. The other thing that we find, if you have a specific prospect that's really hard to get a hold of, or a group of prospects, instead of just emailing them, we would send you an email. So maybe you as a tech person just aren't on LinkedIn. So then we send you an email to follow up with you. Or we send you a call and say, hey, I'm Steve's secretary. He would love, or I'm his administrative assistant. He would love for you to be on his podcast. Can I set up 15 minutes to talk to Steve? And now, how many calls have you ever gotten from someone saying they reached out to you on LinkedIn and they're just trying to set up a 15-minute call?
None.
Right. So imagine if you really wanted to get in front of some MSP guru whiz person that you want on your podcast, and you just called them up or had someone on your behalf call them up. Say, hey, I reached out to you on LinkedIn, just trying to get you on my podcast. Your chances of success go up tremendously. The other thing we use is custom videos. So instead of just sending you a text, I record this 1-minute video saying, hey, Steve, I'm really glad you accepted my connection on LinkedIn. Would love to talk to you for 15 minutes. And that personalization, you'll see a lot more engagement than just even the text that I did with you.
All right. So let's talk about some of the tools you use. So I just want to clarify. You offer LinkedIn prospecting as a service, but some MSPs maybe they just want to test drive and see how to do it themselves to see if this is even like a viable thing. Some MSPs may not have the budget. So let's talk about, like, kind of, again, peeling that curtain back, exactly how you are doing some of these things. So, like, what kind of tools are you using to manage everything for a single client with LinkedIn prospecting?
Sure. So the easiest way for anyone on this call to try it is there's a tool called DuckSoup, DuxSOP. that will be an add-on into your web browser, and you can use that as a tool. What Duck Soup allows you to do is to search the LinkedIn and get those contacts. There's also a tool called Sales Navigator, which is part of LinkedIn.
Yeah, that thing's expensive.
Right.
Probably
So Duck
worth
Soup,
it when you start doing actual prospecting, though.
right. So Duck Soup's about $50 a month. And you can schedule your calls, you can schedule your follow-ups, those types of things. So there's two ways that people use LinkedIn automation. One is they write really custom messaging. Hey, Steve, I saw your LinkedIn profile. It looks like you've got a podcast. Went over and, watched some of your videos. So-and-so video was interesting, whatever. So now it's a really custom message. But that follow-up that you saw in my messaging is automated. And then that's how they're getting those appointments. The other option is to do like what we're doing, which is we automate the initial outreach. But then when people say, challenge me on, this isn't relevant, or I'm busy, or are you guys really successful? We have a team of people that log into all of our accounts about 3 to 4 times a day to respond to them if they're being challenged, or they aren't warm enough yet to take a meeting with Steve. We'll interact with them. So from the in prospects perspective, they know that there's a real human there responding. Now they think it's Steve, but really it's just one of our team members that are managing your LinkedIn profile.
Wow. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen because I just want to talk about this Duck Soup real quick.
Sure.
All right. So if we look here, there are 3 different versions if you just want to do the individual version. And then they've got annual billing and monthly billing. Now, which I thought you said like 30 or something, or am I just wrong?
It hits my credit card every month. So I think my subscription's like $50 a month.
Huh. Okay. Maybe you're on the turbo individual plan.
Yeah.
Okay. So when I look at everything that this thing's able to do, this already looks pretty sweet. It helps you find prospects. It looks like it works with just like the basic LinkedIn, but if you pay for LinkedIn, it'll probably work better. And then, so there's all that. Auto engage, that's probably what we were talking about, where it'll auto view profiles. And so, I never thought of that, like auto view profiles. As silly as that sounds, we actually get notified when somebody looks at our profile in some fashion. Correct. So is that something that's actually worth it?
Yeah. So what happens is they believe that you actually looked at their profile before you sent them a message. So it makes you appear more authentic.
Okay. That makes sense. Auto invite with personalized message. It's so good, that feature. They list it twice. Auto in-mail any profile. Auto endorse connections. Why would I want to do that?
I don't know, but the reason people do it is if they I have cloud computing as a skill on my profile. People want you to think that you've endorsed them, but I believe that I only want to endorse people that I'm confident actually know cloud computing. And that was a bigger thing with LinkedIn like 10 years ago. I don't know if I've ever endorsed anyone since then, except maybe if you're looking for a job, I like to do testimonials. Like someone give a reference on your LinkedIn. I think that's valuable, but I don't use that feature.
Okay. Auto save. I think that's supposed to say auto save to PDF. So I suspect the guys that make this product may not be American.
That's true. Well, they actually got acquired as well. So
okay. I'm going to close these because quite honestly, they're annoying. All right. And then auto filter. Okay. So you can, how does that work? Like, I understand why you would want to look for specific types of people. I just didn't know you could do that.
Right. So think about if you're just on your LinkedIn this morning and you want to reach out to certain types of people. So as an example, before I got on this podcast, I messaged everyone that was an owner of a company, even if they weren't MSPs, but that I thought would have value from LinkedIn. Now, there's certain people that I know would get no value out of LinkedIn, so I just filter those people out. But in general, I was then able to send an invite for about 1,000 people to join this podcast.
Wow.
So in your world, you might have gotten, say you get 100,000 podcast viewers every viewer, and then next, my podcast is 111. Then I could see, oh, okay, well, my ability to market you drove additional viewers. And it took me about 5 minutes to set up and send out all those notes, and they went out over the course of a week.
You know what? I have noticed that. Jay McBain, some of you guys know him. He is with, is he with Gartner now? I don't even know. He's like a name to know in IT though. So every now and then I feel like I get messages from him on LinkedIn or wherever saying, hey, you should check out blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking to myself, well, we're already friends, so I'll read his message. And that kind of makes sense. So could I even like use this auto engage for sending out messages to people I'm already connected with?
Correct. So in LinkedIn's world, they give you the ability to connect up to 100 net new people a week. I've got about 12,000 or a little over 12,000 in my network. So I was able to roughly send 10% of my network within a week an invite to this. So if you're doing your next podcast, you could use this tool to email everyone and let them know the next podcast is coming.
Wow. So you can only message 1,000 people a week?
That's all I picked out. I don't want to annoy my entire 12,000 network. So,
okay.
I got like 3 or 4 people that said they weren't interested, but I did the best I could to filter based on who I knew wouldn't be interested.
And what's really interesting, like LinkedIn, there's not an unsubscribe feature. You just have to disconnect from somebody.
Yep. And you don't want to obviously lose especially if they're trusted relationships, you don't want them getting annoyed.
But I suspect you don't have 12,000 trusted relationships.
I don't, but I have people that I know they are not big fans of LinkedIn automation, so they did not get this message.
Interesting. So I'll want to talk to you eventually about maybe how we could do some of that stuff, and how do I even say it? So you said you have people that don't like LinkedIn. So
well, they don't like LinkedIn automation.
Right. Yes. Sorry. Yeah. So because of that, do you have them tagged somehow?
Oh, I know the handful of people that are against it, so I just made sure I didn't send them this message.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's why I said only like 5 people that I didn't get it out of my list.
Oh, and that's funny that I asked that. I opened up the organize, and it says tag any profile. So I guess that answers my question that you could say hates what I do and tag somebody with that, and then send out a message to anyone except for people that have that tag.
Right. Or if I was promoting my LinkedIn managed services to existing customers that aren't using it, I would tag all the people that are already paying for the service. I wouldn't send them an advertisement or a message trying to encourage them to sign up if they're already using the service. So I could pull out those specific customers that already are using it and make sure they don't get messages from me about the service.
Got it. Share, it looks like you just get to download and export a bunch of stuff. When you share, are you getting contact details that your connections have available?
Correct. So usually it's their personal email address, and then you can go to a data broker and get their. There's a couple tools out there that'll actually get you their company email, company phone, potentially their mobile phone number, those types of things.
Nice. Okay. Automatic follow-up. Now this is only in Turbo. So with this, it looks like when somebody messages you or replies to one of your messages, it allows you to reply to them.
Correct.
Okay. And then it also allows you, like it says right here, drip campaigns. So if somebody doesn't message you, you can continue to hound them.
Correct.
which you did to me. So how many steps do you have in that automation? Because I got 3 of them.
So I generally do 5.
Okay.
And then if I really want to stalk you, I would have a monthly cadence where I send something out, or like I did today or this week about the MSP podcast. I just sent that to people that it was relevant to. If I have a really good successful use case, like we have a client that's on our website that is doing really well with it. We emailed all of our MSP people in our network, letting them know the stats and the success that he's having with it. And when I do that, I generally do that once a month, and I get usually 4 meetings out of just doing that one email blast. Because what they want to see is, it's COVID, the market's opening up. Is there a company relevant to me that actually is getting meaningful results? Right. So one of my prospects had one really good meeting out of LinkedIn. The first month, my client had 15. The second month, they had really good success with email, and they had almost no success with LinkedIn again. And then we had another 15. So in month 3, she's like, I'm so busy with my email that I don't want to touch LinkedIn. So she found that email was working for her. But I have another client that was the exact opposite. They couldn't get email to work either, but because my client was having success, then they signed up to use us. So they tried it themselves for a couple months and couldn't get it to work.
Okay. And then I see they've got a dashboard, which I suspect just, gives you information that's helpful based on your performance.
Yep.
And then workflow integration, where it integrates with Zapier and HubSpot.
Yep.
So that's a really kind of inclusive tool, which is cool. Like I feel like you probably don't need a whole lot more than Duck Soup.
Yeah, I mean, there's other more sophisticated tools, but this one's cost effective enough that anyone on this call basically can afford it.
Gotcha. And you use Duck Soup yourself?
Yeah, I'm using Duck Soup on my it's right on my Internet Explorer, Firefox, and Chrome.
For Mark, I simply asked him if he changed his thing. Mark is somebody that's been a longtime watcher of my podcast, and I feel like every time he connects, it's like a different name, but it's always like the same picture, so I know who it is. So, so then he's like, "Oh crap, I'm using the wrong." I don't care, man. It actually helps me out because now you're giving me more views. You connect with all 27 of your accounts. That'd be great.
Yeah, a lot of guys like Mark will have like 15 different fake LinkedIn profiles, and they'll use those profiles to reach out to people on LinkedIn. So instead of Mark reaching out to 100 people with his 15, he's reaching out to 1,500 people in a week. So he's probably overinflating your viewer numbers.
I'm okay with that.
Perfect.
Because eventually he'll have like 1,000 accounts, and then he's going to make my numbers look so good with his 1,000 accounts that I'm going to be able to start selling sponsorships soon.
Yeah. Well, the next podcast will be how to automate fake podcast viewers.
Oh, it's hilarious. All right. So we talked about the Duck Soup tool. So are there other tools or processes, procedures, whatever, that you would have like beside Duck Soup?
Yeah. So most people use Seamless AI. So Seamless AI basically allows you to search. So it's similar to Sales Navigator, allows you to search for companies and individuals in those.
And
that's about $300 a month, I believe.
I am also familiar with Seamless AI. This tool, I've looked at so many. This tool is what you would use to figure out, you kind of like to find the people that you want to connect with without using LinkedIn.
Right. So most people like that use Duck Soup or sales use Sales Navigator. Well, if you want to distinguish yourself and not hit the same people that everyone else is targeting, you can go buy your own list, and Seamless allows you to do that. So as an example, one of our MSPs is really good with doctors. So we bought a list of doctors' practices, and he's only reaching out to doctor practices that are on LinkedIn.
That is really cool.
And his message, instead of being generic, it's, hey, I'm having really good success managing IT for doctors' offices. They have HIPAA challenges. They have other they have other issues that are specific to their business, and he's had a lot of success in that space. So doctor isn't just getting a generic, hey, I can manage your IT. He's getting, this is what we focus on. So knowing your ideal prospect, your ideal customer, companies that you really enjoy working with or you've had a lot of good success with are the types of people you want to target in Seamless or in Sales Navigator.
Okay. And I just want to share a couple of comments. This one may make sense to you. Blue Hen.
Yep, that's my mascot from University of Delaware. So I've invited a couple UD people that there's a couple other podcasters that are Blue Hens. So I'm assuming that a couple of them are on.
That's cool. And then this company here, we recently partnered with JTD Group on a lead gen project. We're excited to see what kind of results we get.
I am as well.
Don't blow it, Tim.
Yeah, not now. It's recorded for history.
I'll follow up with you in 6 months and see if they're still a client.
Perfect.
All right. So we've got seamless.ai. That helps you find prospects. We've got ducks-soup.com, and that helps you automate reaching out to people. Anything else?
So we use MailChimp for email. So most people are familiar with MailChimp. So if you don't find a lot of engagement from your LinkedIn, you could always reach out to them through email.
Which you'll be able to do because you've got their email thanks to Seamless
Absolutely.
AI.
Yep.
Genius. Okay. And are those the only 3 tools you need to do this?
Oh, there's more. I mean, we use so AWS is an auto dialer that we use to do cold calling. So if you're trying to get in front of people that say the email doesn't work, you can use AWS Connect. So we use that for cold calling. It basically calls the numbers. So that's a good tool.
Okay. Next.
And those are the big ones that we use. Okay. We do. We've done some other projects that aren't really relevant to the LinkedIn conversation, but around like Google Maps and stuff like that are cool. But
okay, well, good. So now we have an idea of what tools we need. So let's talk about what kind of process we need to start doing this stuff. So I am going to, let's see. I am going to see if I can get set up with a Seamless AI account. Looks like I already set one up. So I just need to set up, I don't know, another.
Yeah, we got 2.
Yeah. So I'll just set up I'll just set up an extra, just in case. And then once I get logged into here, oh no, you need to book a meeting. That's the first thing they tell me.
Yeah, I would just use your existing account if you're gonna.
Oh, I guess I don't have one then, because
Okay.
even the fake account said the same thing to me. So
Interesting.
I don't like it.
All right. You me log into mine or?
If you don't mind.
All right.
Sorry guys, we did not actually plan this, so I didn't think to ask him to like do something.
Yeah, I know. All right. So let me see. I was going to close some of my screens first.
And you can share just a window.
Perfect. Yeah, I usually have like 100 browsers open, so I'm just going to close other stuff. All right, so.
Also, he's dying.
Yes, I'm dying. All right, so this is the Seamless AI tool. So you'll see that when you get in here, there are certain contacts that you can search for. there's certain titles, right? Like marketing for us would be, founder, CEO, marketing, sales, those types of things. For these larger companies, or if you have specific targets, like one of our consulting firms has a target of 40 companies that they work with, they can put all those in there. And then you might do certain things like keywords, right? You guys have a lot of experience doing like the HIPAA example for white clay technology, and then obviously names. So all of this searching will then get you a bunch of results of different names. You'll have contact, company, hopefully email, phone, and then you can just export that into an Excel spreadsheet or a CSV file. Once you do that, you can then upload that into LinkedIn. So then you don't need Sales Navigator.
That is very cool. All right. So that's kind of like step one is finding the people. And then now that you've got the people, step two is you want to reach out to them on LinkedIn, but if this is your first time, if it's your first rodeo, then what you probably need to do is set up some of that automation stuff and come up with, the right words to get replied to.
Yeah. So the first step, usually what we do with our clients is we do, obviously you have a nice professional picture, potentially a backdrop. These you can buy on Fiverr for, little money, or get free ones. And then you'll see that, the profile generally looks professional. As an example, I featured this today on my podcast. And then once you guys have a recording, that'll be featured. And you just want to make sure that this looks all professional. And this isn't your resume, right? This is what do you do as a company, right? I'm adding business value by doing these things. And then you probably had some previous history, and then, your Blue Hen or whatever, schools you went to. The other thing is certifications are great. So I have all these certifications. So people that are in our space should have potentially some of these, or their team has these. And so that'll give you credibility that you know what you're doing as an MSP. And then this is why, for me, people know that I'm technical. Like maybe I'm a sales guy, but I know the business that they're in.
Yeah. Okay.
And they get some client references, if you can, on your website. So when people go to your LinkedIn, because you're prospecting cold, now at least you have some references of people that vouch for you.
That's awesome. Okay. So now I know what I need to do to improve my LinkedIn. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Not right now, because I need to pay attention. But yeah, I'm definitely going to be doing that. All right. So next steps.
Yep. So now we're going to go into Sales Navigator, or like Seamless, and we build these lead lists. Right. So this is my list for today. First degree connections to promote the MSP webinar. And then we have, one of my lists was I'm targeting this, a lot of people on this call might be familiar. These might be competitors, or they're a franchise in one of these. So we specifically have had a lot of success with MSPs. So we're specifically targeting those people. And so these messaging now are going to be different, right? Because I'm already a first degree connection. They're at least connected to me. I want them to attend the webinar. These people are cold prospects. They don't know who I am, but I want to connect with them, and like with you, have a conversation. And then we can do generic, right? So my messaging for a generic tech company, or, about marketing, is going to be different messaging. So the whole sales play, or the talk tracks or emails that you're using, are different. So I have different messaging for each of these.
Are you by chance able to log into the Duck Soup and show us around that?
Well, I can. So
and that's assuming that we're ready to move on to the let's start setting things up. Don't forget there's a hyphen, DUX hyphen soup.
There you go.
How do I know?
I'm doing this stuff. All right, so let me log in. Yeah, I have a whole team that does this stuff. I don't really log into any of this stuff anymore. I still log into my own profile. Yes, I don't know even where to log in. Usually there's a little thing on my computer. So here's another one. Party. Yeah, usually there's like a tag on here that I can use.
It's all good, man.
Yeah, it's fine. So, but anyway, so Duck Soup has a similar process, but this is how we're building the list for my stop. But we also, like I said, we're buying lists as well.
All right. So walk us through the kind of pieces of how to formulate the pieces for a successful message. That way, whether we're trying to target doctors or farmers, whatever, anyone that we want to connect with on LinkedIn, we've got the right words.
Yep. So this is what we give to all of our customers. So this is our onboarding document. Now, some things are simple like passwords and stuff, but this is good. And I'm happy to share this with you guys. Even if you don't use our services, this helps you as a business owner think about what's your core audience, who's your target audience, what's the business problem that you're trying to solve, right? A lot of us come from the technology space, and it's always how do we fix whatever technology problem's happening, but what's the business value? And figure all of this stuff out. It takes about an hour and a half, 2 hours, and it really gives you a good understanding. Are there certain geographies? So like with CMIT and Team Logic, they usually have certain zip codes that their franchises in. Are there certain industries? Like White Clay is really good in healthcare. You guys maybe are good in financial services. Are there certain decision makers? So usually in a MSP, it's the owner of the company or the CFO. So figure out who those people are, because this is all going to get put into either Sales Navigator or whatever, like you're using like Seamless to figure it out. And that's going to give us that. If there's certain customers, right, so that you don't want to contact. So like in my example, if someone's already using LinkedIn Managed Services for me, I don't want to reach out to them. Or, depending on my message, I probably don't want to reach out to my current customers. And so we fill this out with all of our customers before we onboard them. And then from there, that's when you start seeing the script, the script messages that, we're providing our clients. So then we're building this talk track and the flow that you saw.
That is really nice. Okay. So I would love to have that document that you showed us. And then pretty much we should find significant value in meeting like-minded people. That way we can, that should be kind of like the intro to almost all of these, I suspect, when you're reaching out to somebody.
Yeah, you're not selling them. You're trying to either collaborate with them. You're trying to educate them. You're providing value to them. Gotcha. And the value cannot be your end product of making a sale.
I like that. All right. So next, let's say we reach out. They actually, we sucker them into booking the call.
Yep.
Now what?
So,
because we can't sell them, right?
We can. So there's a couple things that I do, right? One is I ask you about your business on the initial call. So let you talk, right? I have a podcast. This is what I do. Whatever the business is going to communicate, then all I'm looking for is asking good probing questions, trying to understand them better, obviously try to build rapport, trust, all those other things. But then when I speak, I'm only talking about my sales pitch as it is relevant to you, the challenges or the opportunities that you have. So you might have an opportunity that you're just growing really, really fast and you need to upsell current customers. You're just adding too many net new customers, but you don't upsell current customers. So then when I talk to you about what JTD Group does, I would only talk about how we can help you upsell current customers. One of our clients started during the pandemic and they were not getting any traction on sales and marketing overall. And what we said is, we'll get you leads. Well, then the next thing was, oh my God, I'm so busy with leads. I got to have someone else in my company start handling the leads. Right. So then another one said, hey, I'm getting a lot of leads, but I'm not converting them into, sales. So now we're doing coaching, one-on-one coaching to help convert those into sales. But if your biggest problem, which most of our clients will say is I don't have enough leads, LinkedIn will solve that problem for you.
Okay. And then what other kind of services do you guys offer to MSPs? Because, the LinkedIn thing's great, but just like you said, at some point we are probably going to get inundated with, work, when it comes to selling. So how can you guys just do the whole sales thing for us and be an account manager and make all my customers happy?
Yep. So what we do is we could take, say, my profile and add you to, that person's company. So now I look like a full-time salesperson.
Mm-hmm.
But you might be small where you don't need someone 40 hours a week. So maybe we give you a sales rep for 5, 10, 20 hours a week. Now,
Gotcha.
if you're not there yet, we could actually just do email campaigns. So we charge per email, or we can do a cold call campaign where we, charge per call, right? So a lot of companies out there will say you need to commit to a certain number of resources over a 3-month period. Well, imagine if you just said, hey, I'm going to be in New York next week, and I just want meetings while I'm in New York and just want to run a 100 call campaign to set up appointments for you while you're in New York next week. Well, most cold calling companies aren't going to do a 100 call campaign. So we can do things as a service, so we can scale with you as you grow as a company or as an MSP.
Very nice. All right, so we've had the opportunity to talk about some of the tools that you use on LinkedIn and how to kind of automate the whole process. We've talked about what to do to find new leads. We've talked about what to do if they're not reaching back out through LinkedIn. Start doing an email campaign and then start doing some cold calling with them. For the people that are a little too shy to do the cold calling, even if we just did LinkedIn and LinkedIn and an email campaign, that would still probably generate a solid number of leads for any MSP.
Yeah, I mean, most people aren't going to cold call, so that's why they just go to us and say, hey, I've got 100 people I really want to get in front of. Can you guys get me appointments with them? Most business owners are too busy to do the actual cold calling.
Mm-hmm. Or, well, too busy, sure, but I would rather just lie and say I'm too busy because I just despise cold calling.
Sure, that's a fair answer as well. But that's probably the real answer.
Is there anything else that we should be thinking about?
So I'll give you a tip that's outside of this conversation. So I am on a tool called Lunch Club, which I can also send you the invite, which I believe I already sent it to you. But Lunch Club is great. So Lunch Club is, it's an invite only. You basically get set up with someone. You tell them that, I'm looking for someone in marketing and sales. You go through a whole setup. But this will get you 6 meetings a week. And if you rank the meetings that it went well or it's bad, it's not a good fit, you'll start getting really qualified appointments from Lunch Club.
So
and it's free.
How many meetings have you done on Lunch Club?
Over 100.
So I've scheduled 3 or 4, and then I just get anxiety with meeting a complete stranger without I don't even know what to talk about with them. You know what I mean? So I'll just cancel the meeting.
Right. So what I do is let them go first. Tell me about your business. This is just a friendly conversation. You're not selling them anything. And for you, I would just talk about, hey, I have a podcast. That's interesting. Right. And just talk about your podcast, what you've done on it. Maybe you find a really good speaker out of it. But for people that aren't used to selling, this is a really safe place to perfect your pitch. Right. Because this is a free meeting. What's the worst thing? They decline your LinkedIn request. I mean, there's not a lot of downside of trying it. So this is a really safe place for your brand new reps, or if you're a brand new owner that hasn't done sales calls, to practice. And I get 6 of these a week. So so I can always practice.
All right. So what I'm hearing is lunch club would be a great way for us to, at the very least, just practice having, awkward conversations with strangers. So when it comes to whether it's lunch club or scheduling time with the people that you've reached out with on LinkedIn, is there a way that you recommend setting up your time blocks?
Yep. So I use this tool, Calendarly. So they can basically, anyone can go and set a 15-minute or 30-minute meeting with me.
Well, and I use Calendly also. So I don't necessarily, I think we all know of something, even,
Yep.
everyone that has 365 has Microsoft bookings, I think, right?
So
How
this
how
is
do you
what,
I guess what I'm asking is when you reach out to somebody and you say, "Hey, let's book time," do you only let them pick between a 3-hour block of time on Thursdays or something like that, and you just say you know what, every Thursday between 3 p.m. and 6 p.m. is when I'm going to do these meetings.
yeah. So what I do is I try to set up, and I just stopped sharing my screen because I think your question was different than what I was thinking it was going to be.
That's
But
fine.
what I like to do is say, here's 3 different times, right? One time in the morning, one time in the afternoon, and give them some different random blocks. So that's what I historically have done. The advantage of Calendarly is it saves you the back and forth of, then coming back and now you've already booked your calendar, those things. So, but in an ideal world, I like to do a 30-minute meeting, a break, right? So I can, take my notes, I can send my follow-ups, all that stuff. And then if I can get 20 qualified meetings a week, then I'm going to at least close one deal a week.
Okay. So you've even taken this to the next level, knowing that I have a 1 out of 20, so that's a 5% close ratio,
Mhm.
which I think that's a reasonable close ratio when you're going from stranger to sale, and it all I assume starts on LinkedIn.
Well, so a third goes through Lunch Club, a third through LinkedIn, and then a third through existing relationships or referrals.
Wow.
So we give referrals. So if you're a current customer and you refer business to us, or you're a random stranger danger that I met on Lunch Club, we pay referrals. So we're able to get a lot of significant business from that. So we don't cold call ourselves because we're so busy with our existing, marketing and sales efforts.
So even somebody that you meet on Lunch Club, you've had enough of these awkward stranger danger meetings that you are able to now go to these guys and say, "Hey, look, we do this LinkedIn management thing or whatever service you want to pitch, right? So if you can think of any IT consulting companies that could benefit from our service, just let us know, make an introduction, and we'll take it from there. And then, we'll give you a little something as a thank you."
Yep. So every MSP can go on a Lunch Club. You're either going to find a prospect, you're going to find someone that knows someone that needs referral for IT help, or you potentially, because they usually have junior level people, grad students. Also, you're going to have a fair number, like 1 or 2 of my 6 meetings a week are junior level people. You potentially have an employee. So in every meeting, I know I can either get an employee, a referral, or a client from it. And they're scheduled in my calendar every week for those exact, 9 a.m., noon calls, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So my calendar is always blocked out, and those are always my Lunch Club times.
Man, I gotta say, Tim, this is really cool stuff. I really appreciate you taking time and teaching us, how to use LinkedIn more effectively, and this cool new Lunch Club tool, because it's cool. For those of you that are interested in checking out Tim's marketing services, maybe because you just don't have the time to do it yourself, or because you're shy and don't want to, where can they go?
You want to just put it in the chat?
Yeah, sure.
That's my website, and then I'll give you guys my my LinkedIn or my Lunch Club invite, so you guys can join Lunch Club.
All right,
So
there you go. So it's jtdgrp.com, and I've got it on the bottom of the screen for those of you watching. Again, www.jtdgrp.com.
yep, and then the next link will be a link, and that will actually have. Sure, just paste it correctly. It will be my code to get you an invite into Lunch Club.
Nice.
And that, like I said, it's free, and everyone I know that's on it is getting actual sales from it. So it's not a waste of time.
So which one is cooler, Lunch Club or Clubhouse?
I haven't been a big Clubhouse user, so I'm not really sure how to compare it.
I hopped on it less than 20 times. I wasn't a fan. It's,
So-
you know,
I
just
mean,
a bunch
if you're
of people
an influencer like yourself and you said I want to start a MSP Clubhouse, and people from your podcast are joining it, and you're the subject matter expert, it probably would drive attendance for your podcast and for your business. For me, it's really about the one-on-one conversation, learning about the customer, what their their challenges are, or where they see that they need help with sales and marketing, and that's a lot harder to have in a really large group chat. So for you, I think I would use Clubhouse probably more than Lunch Club. But for me, I think, and most MSPs, if you're using it for your MSP business, you're probably gonna get more business out of joining the Lunch Club and the one-on-one meetings. But for your podcast, I think Clubhouse is great.
Okay. Well, good. I guess I will check out Clubhouse again. We'll see. I don't know. I don't like to. All right. Well, I got to say, again, thank you. Thank you, Tim, for being on here, because I learned a lot. I'm actually going to go start trying to do some of this stuff because, I don't have enough things to do during the day. So I'm going to do some of this too. So for those of you that are listening, one last time, jtdgrp.com. Thanks so much for listening and watching, everyone, and I'll catch you at the next podcast.